What's up, everybody? My name is Dana Harris with Young Gurus Math Tutoring, and I'm back again to drop some more math jewels. Today I'm going to be talking about transversals and the angle pair relationships that are formed by a transversal. So first of all, let's talk about what a transversal is. A transversal is a line that intersects a pair of parallel lines. Now, it can intersect more than two parallel lines, but it has to be at least a pair of parallel lines. And as you can see in my diagram, line M would be the transversal because it intersects lines P and lines Q, which are parallel lines. Now, in order for me to know that these are parallel, we cannot assume. There has to be something stating that they're parallel. So I can actually put this mark right here and this mark right there that tells me those lines are parallel. Or you could also have it stated. So for example, if you're working a problem, the directions would have to state that it's given that these two lines are parallel. We can never assume in geometry. So if line M is a transversal, then there's a theorem that tells us that when a transversal intersects two parallel lines, that alternate interior angles are congruent. Well, what are our alternate interior angles? First of all, alternate means opposite sides, and interior means those two angles are inside the set of parallel lines. So for example, in this particular diagram, our alternate interior angles would be angle 4 and angle 6. Notice they're on alternate sides of that transversal, and they're interior or on the inside of the set of parallel lines. As well as 3 and angle 5 would be alternate interior angles. Once again, they're on the interior of the set of parallel lines, and they're on opposite sides or alternate sides of the transversal. The theorem also tells us that alternate exterior angles are congruent. Okay? So, alternate being on opposite sides of that transversal, but the exterior portion of this means that they're on the outside of the pair of parallel lines. So, alternate exterior angle examples would be angle 1 and angle 7. Notice angle 1 as well as angle 7 are on the outside of this set of parallel lines, and they're on alternate sides of the transversal. Another pair of alternate exterior angles in this particular diagram would be angles 2 and angle 8. They follow in the same category. Now, this theorem also tells us that the consecutive interior angles, sometimes they're known as same side interior, they are also supplementary, okay, which means if you add those two angles up, they have a sum of 180 degrees. So for example, angle 4 and angle 5, they're on the same side of the transversal, but they're on the interior of the set of parallel lines. So angle 4 and angle 5 in this case would be supplementary. They have a sum of 180 degrees. Also, angles 3 and angle 6, they are supplementary as well. Once again, they're same side or consecutive interior angles. This theorem tells us something else as well. Corresponding angles are congruent. Now, corresponding means that the intersection of that transversal and one of the parallel lines, they have the same position. So for example, if I look at angle 1 and angle 5, notice angle 1 is on the top left of the intersection of the transversal and one of the parallel lines, and then angle 5 is on the top left of the intersection of the transversal and the other parallel line. So our pairs of corresponding angles would be 1 and 5, 2 and 6, 3 and 7, as well as 4 and 8. Notice these four angles here, these four angles here. They have a position on the intersection of the transversal and one of the parallel lines, but the position that they hold is in the same corresponding position as these two. And actually, if you were to actually slide these two parallel lines together, you can see that angle 5 would replace 1, 6 would replace 2, 8 would replace 4, and 7 could also replace 3. So those are the different pairs of angle relationships that are formed when a transversal intersects a set of parallel lines. Okay. Now, one other angle pair relationship that is formed here is one that is common, and it's one of the basic angle pair relationships that you learn at the beginning of studying geometry, and that's vertical angles. Notice 5 and 7 are vertical angles, so they're congruent. 6 and 8 are vertical as well. They're congruent. Same thing up here. 2 and 4 are congruent. They're vertical angles. And then 1 and 3 are vertical angles as well, and they are congruent. So once again, just to kind of wrap it up, there are a few different pairs of angle relationships that are formed when a transversal intersects a set of parallel lines. The first pair of angles that are formed are corresponding angles. And remember, corresponding angles are congruent. The second one is alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles are congruent. Then we have alternate interior angles. Those are also congruent. And we also have consecutive interior angles. Consecutive interior angles are supplementary, which means they have a sum of 180. And then we also have vertical angles, and vertical angles are always congruent. Dana Harris with Young Gurus Math Tutoring. I've got the solution to your math problems.